Well, welcome back, Fiat fans. Today we're going to be changing out the steering wheel in a 124 Spider. So let's get to it. All right, the first thing we got to do is disconnect the negative battery cable. So I placed a piece of tape going across the plastic cowl here and onto the plastic bits of the steering wheel. And that's going to help us line up the new steering wheel when we put it back on. The next thing we have to do is take off the airbag. Right down here, there's these little holes. There's one on this side, one on this side over here, and then there's one down on the bottom somewhere around here too. Well, anyway, there's a little spring clips inside there, and you have to put a screwdriver inside. You put the screwdriver inside just like that, and that releases the clips. It's supposed to release the clips anyway. All right, so these little springs are a little tricky. I actually had to angle the screwdriver on the sides like pretty far up in order to catch these little springy doos on the side. And then this hole down here, I had to angle the screwdriver kind of towards me a little bit as I pushed up. And you should also note that the screwdriver doesn't actually have to go in very far. It's really only just about right here. And you'll be pushing on that spring. It might actually help trying to look inside this hole a little bit to see if you can see the edge of this spring right here. That's what you're gonna be pushing on. All right, so next we're gonna disconnect the horn. That's what this wire is right here. Push the little button on the back of the connector and it pops right off. And these guys, you have to pop these little black connectors out. Might need like a tiny screwdriver. I'll get it with my knife. These little black thingies are little buggers. And once you pop the little black things up, the connectors just pop off. Just like that. And then set this aside for later. Next, we need to get in here and disconnect. You just push down on this little bar right here and the white connector pops right out. I think this one stays attached to the steering column, it looks like. All right, the next thing you do is take off that nut, which is a 21 millimeter or a 13/16 if you don't have a 21. I was bracing the wheel against my knees here to get it to go. But the nut came off pretty easy. Now, before we try to yank this steering wheel off, I'm actually gonna put the nut back on just a little bit. That way, whenever I'm pulling on this thing, trying to get it to come off, it doesn't just fly out and hit me in the face. So I'm gonna apply a little pressure with my knees. And there we go. That's it. Take that nut back off the rest of the way. And
who needs a steering wheel puller when you have Dan the Man?
That's right. All you need is muscles. All right, now we gotta take all this plastic stuff off to go on the new wheel. All right, so we gotta disassemble all these trim pieces to transfer over to the new steering wheel. Okay, so started by taking this outer trim off, this ring off, and the way I was able to get it started, it's kind of fiddly getting it started. I first put a tool into the top side of it like this, just to apply pressure on that. And then I use this fork tool to get down in there, and just with feel, I got the fork tool on the either side of the clip, and then I just prized hell out of it. These things are kind of fiddly. It feels like it's gonna break, but I don't think you're gonna break it. You just have to go for it. So now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna put the fork tool down on this side. Now, if you notice, like this little rail looking thing inside the steering wheel, that kind of guides you to the clip. So I'm gonna put this in here like this and pry up on it. And there we go. That popped out. And then that's this piece off. You can see here, these are the two little clips that I was getting down inside there with that tool and popping them out. So the next thing you gotta do is take the backside off. And it's just a matter of finding where all the clips are and applying pressure. All right, I think the best way to get this started is to start on the outside arms here and get a tool up underneath there, and then you can pry that off. I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. It's kind of hard to get the tool started, but once you get it in there, you feel it start releasing. And then that was pretty easy. So yeah, the key to getting this thing off is getting under these sides with that tool, and then it pretty much just pops off.
Is it easy to scratch?
I would definitely not use like metal tools. You definitely want to use the plastic tools. I noticed that for the controls here, I could see this pin, this one pin, pretty easily. You don't have to get that close. And I was able to get the tool on it and get that to start coming like that. And now I'm just trying to work my way around. It's really hard to get on the underside over here, but you get some leverage there. And there we go. This side's out. And in order to get this little guy, we need our trusty multi-tool. Give it a little squeeze, and then that guy pops right out. I'll go ahead and do that for the wiring on this side too. Wiring is nice and easy. All right, I'm gonna try and replicate what I did on this side. See, this is where that one pin that you can actually see, the other ones are kind of hidden. So I'm gonna start by inserting the tool there, getting it to start coming. And then just gently prise it on up. And there we have it. Now we gotta take these little springs off. Might more easily be done with pliers. You gotta get the lip of the spring over this little thing like that, and then just pop right off. That's a naked wheel. Now let's get all this transferred over to the new one. All right, now look at this sexy wheel. Alcantara. Now we're just gonna very carefully do the opposite of what we did before. Just line up all these guys and push it in. It takes a moderate amount of force to push it in, but not that much. A lot easier putting it together than taking it apart. It's one of the rare instances that's the case. Make sure you clip your wires back into their little holes here. Now we can put the back piece on. Now if you notice the bits of the wheel that the tabs go into, it's like these little rubber bits. So they kind of flex on you whenever you're trying to take it apart and put it back together. So you gotta make sure everything's lined up and push it real good. I'm gonna put the springs in before I put that outside trim on. Just make sure you position the spring so that this little guy is gonna catch on the lip of the little spring holder. And then just push right on, real easy. See, I think I've been doing it wrong the whole time. The lighting is better this direction. And now this last piece, the chrome trim ring. Again, just line up the little tabs and push it together. Slides right in. Now let's go get this thing installed. So, if you didn't see it before, this is what the Spider looks like with no wheel on it. It's kind of nice, you can see the ball bearings down in there. And this is where that tape is going to come in real handy. Because since we transferred over the trim piece from the old steering wheel, you have to feed the wires up through the steering wheel first. Yeah, make sure these little plastic pin thingies are lined up too in the back. And then just wiggle her on. Just like that. Does it look straight enough? No, it's slightly crooked, isn't it?
Yep, let's has to be more to the left.
So we can turn it like one spline over. Nope, that's too far over. Well, I wonder what happens if the splines don't line up exactly. You only do like what the splines do. All right, so you have a choice. Do you want it slightly left or slightly right?
I want it slightly center.
Because the splines don't line up exactly center, which is funny. It's just the splines on this wheel just aren't identical to the splines on the factory wheel. It looks like it's better aligned like this than it is the other way. Like that's like too far off. That's like just slightly off. But you know, all you have to do now is put the nut back on
and tighten the crap out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that tight. I think it's only supposed to be like 35 foot-pounds or something, which isn't that tight. That's tight enough.
Does it have to be aligned as it's tightened, or?
No, it doesn't, because the wheels are splined, you know.
Right.
And this thing it's a nylock nut, so it doesn't back out. That's what that little plastic bit is. And then you got to connect up the little white connector again, and then all you got to do is put this back together.
Color coded.
Yeah, orange goes to orange. Just making sure. Actually, I think it goes like this. You got to turn it. Yeah. Push the little black thingies down. Put your horn button back on. Just like that. And then this, because of the way those little springs work, just clips in. That's it. All done. Boom. And look at that sexy wheel. Yeah, that feels nice, man.
Now goes along with the shifter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it matches your shifter. And of course, the last thing you gotta do is reconnect your negative battery terminal. You know, this steering wheel swap was actually pretty easy. It was easier than I was expecting. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Do you want a rad X19 shirt like this one or a matching sticker? Then head over to bookautoworks.com/shop. You can also browse parts from the junkyard, and you might find some unusual and interesting things as well. The best of all, everything you buy helps support the channel. So please go check it out.